I was thinking about how we have historically reassured ourselves or protected ourselves, which fits my interest with totems, talismans, archetypal imagery. It was fear, protection, and how we connect with each other that drove my thinking with this show. This show is my first show coming back as a mother of three.
Yeah.
And coming back from the lockdown experience and birthing my last baby. So I was coming back new to the studio. And so typically I sort of pick quite a specific theme, like Southeast Asian animals and mythology or something like that. But for this one, I just want to be completely free because I don't know what's going to come out from this. I want to be completely open. So I set that sort of thematic open boundary for myself with this. Having said that, my pile of vintage animal encyclopedias and the kids' books that I read and the occult imagery and folk art imagery that I've been looking at, there's really common sort of animals that pop up in those.
And do the animals have particular meanings for you? Like obviously the goats in particular seem to have meanings across different cultures, but they are a powerful animal.
Yeah.
Is that something you've been developing in your work?
So going back to how I've developed my own iconography and trying to find the rituals and the meaning in my life, I've gone back to my childhood, probably because I'm a mother and revisiting all the books that I read and things like that. And so, you know, there's the tawny, scrawny lion and the stories of the fox and the chickens and all that. So that those
animals in children's books and in folk tales and all those kinds of things, they're very strong characters, aren't they? Like, do these characters, are they good or evil? Do they have those kind of,
Well, I would say they're mixed because I was just looking at this last night and I thought, actually, there's bright colours and the faces and the idea was they're a celebration of a creative process and a celebration of finding the good and finding the potential in the more difficult situations. But their eyes are really quite sinister.
That's what I was going to say, particularly this goat with the three eyes. And that to me is much more strongly like ritualistic or occult or something. But the eyes make you wonder whether they're living or dead.
So they're definitely...
or are they masks?
They're definitely masks rather than an animal. And what I wanted to create was a sense of, I guess, an opportunity to face something and to mark that moment. And I think that's like the crux of a lot of traditional rituals and ceremonies, is really marking a moment and providing an opportunity to go through that moment and come out the other side. And it can be good and bad. The ending of things can be sad or difficult or good, but it's the way that you view that, and it can also be a really transformational, great thing that you go through. So I really wanted these to mark that time. Yeah, which is because, and I guess for me with my work, that's something that I'm realising, that I'm trying to mark that dualism about that, because there's been events in my life that, for example, the lockdown being a simple one where I thought, oh my goodness, I'm restricted on this, I haven't got all the support networks and everything. And I found it this amazing time of creativity and connection with my family.
Yeah.
To also becoming the mother of a disabled child, which I thought at the time was a devastating thing.
Yeah.
And it's actually the best thing. It's truly the highlight of my life.
Yeah.
And And going through that process and that realisation was profound. And so this idea of transforming and viewing things differently, I think that's what...
The icon of the mask is so interesting because, as you say, it's transformative when someone wears them.
Yes.
And who would have thought that we were going to have masks so big in our lives because of COVID? But masks are about protecting yourself, protecting people around you, being mindful of your community.
I wanted to have a sense of an encounter and a real confrontation with the each animal or each totem, but also I am painting the subject. I'm painting the animal, but equally, or maybe even more so, I'm filling the surface with a pattern, and so responding to the edges and responding to previous paint marks is probably more important than representing the biology of the animal.
That's right.
Although there needs to be just enough for recognition, and I find that an interesting space.
You're also so, I think, confident with colour. I think the colour's really such a key part of your work. And while you sort of said it's quite intuitive mark making and building up of a surface, it has to be, you have to use control and restraint, or these are highly resolved as well.
Yeah. And again, it's that duality of things that I want the marks on there and the colours that are wild, but then the tight line and the restraint. These works are really, they go through a lot of transformation before they sort of settle into the final one. I would do all my works on this scale. I just love it.
Like big.
I love it, and it's almost aerobic to work on them. But they're just giant, They're just they're sort of physical practicalities around it. So I limit myself to one each show. And then these little ones, I've been playing around with a smaller scale because I did want to create smaller works.
Because I find these actually very powerful, because I think you were talking about distillation and concentration and scale, and in a way for me, when I face off to one of these, like, I feel a bit more like I'm on the scale with that, with the mask, which is interesting. Yeah. Whereas those ones to me feel more ritualistic.
Yes. It's more intimate.
Do you have a favourite work?
I think I can't really say a favourite, but for me, the goat defines what this show is the most. That's the one that I'm like, that's this series, that's this show. And then there was sort of everything came around it then. Yeah.